What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Progress on Purpose podcast. We are a community of people who believe in intentional, purposeful living. I'm going to jump right into today's podcast. As you can see, it is a lengthy episode, but I promise you, you want to listen to the end. You do not want to miss anything. And on this episode, I am foregoing all of the other segments that I normally have. You know, I have the pop out of the week. I also have the pop tip, which I promise you, you will not miss it because this episode has so much wealth. The one thing that I will say is that I have a free tool that I would love to give to you. So if you could go on to Instagram at Progress on Purpose Podcast, that is our page, at Progress on Purpose Podcast. The link to download the free Daily Intentions Planner is in the bio. So head right over there and you can download that for free. I do want to take this time to introduce to you Mr. Shariff James. He is this week's guest on our show. He is someone who I know personally, but I promise you, you're going to want to know him too after this episode. CEO, life coach, mentor, speaker, real estate developer, and author, Mr. Shariff A. James is a true-to-life rose that grew from concrete who came from humble yet challenging beginnings in the city of Newark, New Jersey. Born into dire poverty and turbulent family dysfunction, Mr. James' early life was plagued by lack, limited education, transience, abandonment, substance abuse, and incarceration. And yet, as both God and fate would have it, Shariff used each obstacle, every door that life seemingly closed on him, to develop a true champion spirit and to both determine and forge his own path. Created as Mr. James' brainchild, Mission Entertainment was formed over 20 years ago for the purpose of providing the tri-state area with an adult nightlife experience. I was not interested in just throwing parties, as Shariff states. I wanted to give people an unforgettable experience. My goal was to change the culture of urban nightlife. And for the past 2 decades, under the courageous and capable leadership of Mr. James, he and his talented team have far exceeded that goal. Shariff James was New Jersey's first African American to produce urban adult nightlife experiences at a grand scale and in posh fashion. Featured at New Jersey's most reputable entertainment venues. The Mission Entertainment organization is responsible for producing well over 200 urban nightlife events set in premier locales such as the New Jersey Performing Arts Center, the Prudential Center, MetLife Stadium, and Revel Casino. Ladies and gentlemen, you are truly in for a treat today. Without further ado, I present to you Mr. Shariff A. James. Hello, Mr. Shariff James. Welcome to the Progress on Purpose podcast. I am so excited that you are able to join us today. It brings me so much pleasure to have you. You know that you are my mentor. I tell you this all the time. But what people don't realize is that you've been so much more to me than that. You have been a big brother to me / a father figure to me. And I know that may have shocked you the last time that I told you that, but I met you at a time when I was coming into adulthood. And so I'm grateful that you were a man of integrity. You were a man who already knew what purpose you were walking in. And when I met you and started working for you, you were able to cultivate things in me that I couldn't see in myself. You would put me in different roles to have me figure out like where I would be best. And when I made mistakes, you would give me books. You would have conversations with me to help me to grow in the areas that I needed to grow in. And so I really, from the bottom of my heart, I want to say thank you so much for being the person that you are, the person that you show up every single day. And I know everyone who's listening who already knows you and the people that don't know you, but trust me, after this interview, they're going to be hitting up your Instagram. They're going to be hitting up your Facebook because you are one of those people in this earth who you have so much to give. You have so much to share. God has put so much inside of you. And And knowing a little bit about your history, I know that's why you had to fight so hard. But all things have worked together, because the person that you are now, you would never have been had it not been for the experience that you had. And one of the first things I want to talk about is, how you got started. But we're gonna jump into it. But yeah, thank you for being available to have this conversation. I know you're a busy man. You have a lot going on. You're a father, you're an author, you're a real estate investor, and a CEO of your own company. So you got a lot going on. But I appreciate you. I appreciate you, and the world is going to appreciate you even the more after today's episode. So
Well,
welcome.
there you go with these emotions. Come on. Well, let me say, and first and foremost, it is my pleasure to not only make myself available, but the day that you reached out and said, Mr. James, here's what I'm doing. I'm like, yes. And it's just evidence of the growth that I saw. What was this, 2008? I think you came on board. Was it about 2008, Michelle?
Yes.
Right, talking about, yeah, 2008 going to 2009. And I just got to say, I thank you from carrying that, the lessons, never giving up on you, being open to coaching, guidance, recognizing spirit, and just being able to blossom. God has been, His grace and mercy has been so in your favor. I just say I'm honored to be. You don't know, I'm like ecstatic because I remember 10 years ago we was just grinding and you just went so fast. I just see like boom, boom, house, married, and you just blossom with your businesses, the scarves, the your creative side. So I thank you. I thank you for all the help you've been in the role you have played in my business, and your loyalty. Can't even put a price on that. They need to know how loyal to you have been and who you are as a person. And you don't know, there's many times I have a lot of conversations. I still talk about you that there's no other Michelle. Now Miss Hardy. It's not Miss Scipio. It's Miss Hardy now, and you're the one and only, man. So I appreciate you. I thank you. I'm glad to be here. Let's rock. Let's give them some value. Let's change lives. We've always been through that. We've always expressed that the best we can through what we was doing in the past, and we got some other things we're cooking up.
Yeah, I'm really
So
excited.
I love you.
Love you
Proud of
too.
you. So excited. Let's go. Let's pour. Let's keep this thing going.
Yes,
Let's get
yes.
it.
So I'm sure people want to know, because we just sat here and celebrated each other for
Yes,
the last few
absolutely.
minutes. People, I know they want to hear like how you got started, because I shared a little bit about how you went from trial to triumph. But can you tell us how you got started? How do you get to from where you came from to the place that you are now?
Well, it's broad, but the podcast probably don't have enough time for me to go into all the chapters of the life
Yeah.
and bringing me up. But the bottom line is, we all, Michelle, including you, myself, we have these moments and these windows in life where they're dark and they're heavy, and we face a lot of challenges. And in those moments, you're defined. And I say that because through my upbringing, being a young man, unfortunately, we was always unstable in terms of where we live. Like, I never had a house more than probably a year due to the fact that my father, unfortunately, was on drugs real bad. So he was like real inconsistent in his obligations, and him being on drugs, unfortunately, robbed him from being the man that God designed him to be. And sometimes I battle with the bitterness, and I battle with being angry, but then I put it in perspective. I realized he was a victim of an epidemic, and unfortunately he just was end up on that side. And he was my dad. Lost my mother. She died of a pancreas, cyst of her pancreas. Unfortunately, she was only 36, I think 36 years old, 1989. Was 18 going to 19. And that was a heavy, heavy blow. And we all know, when, moms, she's like the real gatekeeper of your life, your biggest cheerleader. She's the most valuable piece, in my opinion, on your board of life. And when you lose that, you have down already. The odds is against you because who else works in your interest? And then not having pops, only thing I have left is aunties and uncles, and they're living their lives. They all jumped in from time to time, but it wasn't that consistency that allowed the grooming and the development that a young man needs. I did not have that. So not having that forced me to actually figure it out or be dead and stay in jail. And unfortunately, I had my moments on the streets growing up in Velsburg, New Jersey, going to school, was Velsburg and West Side, and just being exposed. I was in the era where drugs was very, very, very rampant, and street life was the way to go. It was a culture, and it just got a part of me. And unfortunately, it set me back. I met my wife, which is my best friend now, 27 years. I'm gonna give a clap for that right now.
Yes.
That's
Shout
a
out to
blessing right
mom.
there. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And met her going in late '92, going to '93. My daughter was just born; she was about going on one, and that was tough because here I am, a father, not really knowing how to father. Have a young lady that's my friend, and I think one of the biggest assets that we had and why we bond so well because we became best friends in the early stages. And that was a blessing at that time because I had someone that I can talk to despite that I was broke, outdoors, didn't have a place to live, Michelle. A lot of people didn't know that. I don't talk about it that much, but it was my reality not having an income. Not staying in school, in and out of class, and just not being consistent because I was unstable
Hmm.
and trying to make it, trying to figure it out. There was a time I got an apartment, I hustled up a couple dollars. Next thing you know, my sisters were dropped off to me. They were babies. They was in their young teens. I had to take care of them. Had my daughter and my lady, and you're talking about no support, no money, and it was rough. Eventually, I figured it out. I ground my way, did some time for a minute, came home, and from that point, I never looked back. And I knew that God made me more than just to dissolve on the street.
Yeah.
I knew that He gave me something that not only that my family needed, but the planet can use, or a piece of the planet can use. So I listened to that, and that's one of the things I encourage to individuals. You have to pay attention to the voice, that positive voice, that voice that speaks to your spirit, that speaks to your growth and development, in spite of what you're dealing with. Your current circumstances are not a permanent position. And it's easier said than done, but what other mindset to have? Any other mindset, you're gonna revolt. You're gonna go right back into a downward spiral. And I'm gonna be honest with you. It's just God's grace. When you say, "How did I get started?" It's me feeding, re-educate myself, a lot of reading, a lot of hope, a lot of persistence, navigating my way through. I used to shrug on people's shoulders and like, yo, help me. I need help. And being humble. I never forget, and this is a true story. Before my son was born, I think my daughter was like 3 years old, and I was really struggling really bad. I mean, it was rough. And I was going to Essex County trying to continue my education, and I saw a banner, and it said Young Fathers Program. And I looked at it, and I was waiting for one of the counselors to come out, and I was like, Young Fathers Program. I was like, I'm young and I'm a father. And I took the number, I wrote it down, I called them, made an appointment, I showed up, and it was three gentlemen there that were dedicated to young fathers. And that program made a difference in my life because they were three men that Mr. Baker, Mr. Daly, Mr. Belly, Dion, and then Mr. Dixon, yes. And they were there. They were like the coach in a corner as I fight life, and they gave me encouragement, which was needed at that time. And that's all. Sometimes you just need a little bit. Sometimes when you fighting, you just need someone to say, "You got this." Like you got it, regardless of the pain you're feeling, regardless of the blows you're taking. You tapped out. It just takes somebody to believe in you. And that was the law of being proactive. That was the law of saying, "Look, there's hope." Regardless of what I'm going through, there's a possibility, and I need to be open and keep my eyes open for information, contacts, being hungry, and that took conditioning. That didn't I didn't just wake up and think that it's possible because all the negative things I've seen in my life and experienced what I've been through, unfortunately, as a young man, coming up with my parents and losing my mother at a young age and losing my father spiritually, not physically, but I lost him spiritually and emotionally. And that's like a loss to me because you're not really there. You're there physically, but you're not there to support and protect. You're not there to guide, show me principles, and give me the things that's necessary to evolve into the man that God gave me. So you're not on your job. So far as I'm concerned, you're not there. It's okay, but that was the reality of it. So I had to I figure out how to plug and tap in to a source that would feed me strength and give me some know-how and help me tap into my gifts and my talents to use them, or just die, fade to black, go to jail. That was it. And that other plan wasn't an option for me. I'm not going to jail. I'm not dying on the streets. I'm going to make it. And that was the attitude. And I grind my way, and eventually get a job, jump into sales, ended up working at Maple Gardens, which was a big turning point for me. They gave me a shot, became the top salesperson there. I was inspired at that point to do real estate. Me and Moan, I founded Mission Entertainment actually 1996 is when the company was actually found. And, we decided that we want to do, water rides and amusement parks and wanted to give entertainment. I read this book. Never forget, it was called Prison of Prosperity. Never forget, it changed my life when I was in prison. It was me again seeking to do better and to figure out how can I learn what I don't know? How can I educate me? And it gave me some ideas. And I came home, I was like, look, Mo, this is what I want to do. I want to give trips. I want to get bus rides. I want to entertain people. I think this is my personality. So that was me matching my personality, matching my interests with an idea, and then understanding what did I need to do business wise to make that reality. So that's how Mission was actually born, out of that energy and just to serve people and being a people person at that particular time anyway. I'm still a people person to a degree. We'll talk about that, the balance of a people person and being a leader, an effective leader. That's a real conversation. But yeah, so, working at Maple Gardens, I was inspired. It's a $36 million renovation there. And I'm watching them, flip these apartments around. Read Rich Dad Poor Dad, which was a very instrumental book. Let me just tell you the books that really there was 3 books that made a real difference. Yes, real difference. And this is, everybody hear about the book, but I'm gonna just tell you why. Rich Dad Poor Dad. I didn't even read that one. I read Robert Kiyosaki book. It was called The Guide to Investing in what the rich do and the poor and middle class don't. That was my first book, and that gave me a paradigm shift immediately. And it just really talked about, bottom line, the importance of assets. And it gave you education on how the American system is set up and why it's not set up for you to win. And once you understand that, and then understand how you take and repoint your energy and switch your thoughts and start thinking like how rich people think, thinking how successful people think, or doing what rich people do, or people with money. And I'm going to say rich, not just a whole lot of money, just to individuals they're striving to be in a better economic financial position, understanding what the laws, the practices, and the habits were. Once you're interested in that, your mind is going to go and guide yourself to all that information. So I read that book. Another book that was this book was first. It was called Think and Grow Rich, but a Black Choice by Dennis Kimbrough. You got Think and Grow Rich, then you had Think and Grow Rich, a Black Choice. That was powerful because it specifically focused on African Americans that had multi-million-dollar businesses. Black enterprise was very instrumental to me. Why, Michelle? Because again, it highlighted multi-million-dollar companies, and that as African Americans, we can have more than just a mom and pop store on a corner. Not that that's a bad thing, but that there was a bigger play, that we can have a position. And when I saw that, I'm like, this is like an aha moment because, coming from the streets, coming from a family, it's not like I came from money and everybody in my family was wealthy. I mean, I had some aunties and uncles that was, doing their thing, and they pretty much had good stories. God bless the dead. They all kind of passed away right now. Still have a few aunts that's up and running, and I love them to death for their support throughout the years. But at the end of the day, it was reading these African American books that focused on African Americans and prosperity, period. And I did not for nothing. I saw a magazine called Uptown Magazine. I'll never forget it. Puff was on it. He was 22 years old. He had a little hat. Kango broke down to the side, and it was like multimillionaire. And I'm like, what? How's he 22 years old as a millionaire? Like, how's that even possible? And I'm looking at this, and I'm like, yo, this he can't be more talented than me. Like, and I started reading, and he was a hustler, he was a grinder. You're talking about producing music, working for the label, and pulling all artists together. And actually, a lot of people don't know Mission Entertainment was actually a management company first. I used to manage artists at that particular time, and there's reasons why I backed out of that and started getting into events or get into bus rides. So that's really where the humble beginnings start. Taking the pain, taking the pressure, and making it a platform for me to prosper and to be able to move in a spirit of purpose. And it's still being redefined now, because as life goes, Michelle, and as things change, as you evolve, you get clearer on. You start understanding why things happen, why did they happen, and your wisdom start kicking in if you allow it, and you just start kind of redefining your life with a real focus. So that's how I would say the entrepreneur spirit kicked in. So I've done a few other things that didn't work out. Don't A lot of people see the success of my company or any company and don't realize that failure is right behind that. There was a lot of shortcomings. There was a lot of failures and just things that did not go right behind the scenes. And being an entrepreneur with resolve, conditioning, refusing to quit, being committed to adapting and adjusting, being committed to getting the education that was necessary, meeting the contacts that were needed, kept me in the game. And obviously, me having hope and vision pulled me. So, and I was born for the game. I always know that. I knew I was born for it.
You can hear it in everything that you say. You can hear it. It oozes out of you. Seriously.
Right. Yeah. So that it's a lot of more pieces, but that's the humble beginning. It just came from struggle, and being at a place of really not knowing if I was going to live or not, if I was going to even make it, and being determined and having that faith, but putting the work behind the faith, Michelle. Coming up with a plan and working that plan. I'm talking about working it with limited resources. Limited resources. It didn't matter who didn't agree. I agreed. Period. And you watch me behind the scenes, how I put it on my shoulder and I go, let's go, and it's on and popping. So that's just the way. I think the struggle breeded that character. Coming from that jungle and learning how to survive, and then just developing some professional skills. That was very, very important too, because I came from the street. So not from the street, but develop a lot of habits from the street. So I had to really develop some professional skills to balance out, the street smarts, and put a blend in there that allows me to be a little sharper as I build my brand and grow my company, if that makes sense.
Oh, it makes a whole lot of sense. I'm sitting here just thinking about how, um, like you said, you carry the business on your back. When we would be in the office, we would have people coming in to buy tickets for the event. You would be out in the street selling tickets. You would be back in the office doing back office stuff. You would be the person who pulled the team together, made sure that we were on track. You would watch the numbers. You were the accountant. You did it all. You were in sales. You did the marketing. And so when people came to our events, because I know everyone listening is like, what kind of events were these? First of all, let me tell you about the type of events that Mission Entertainment, by way of the CEO Shariff James and his partners, put together. Listen, you're talking about bringing over 2,000 people, young working professionals of mainly African American descent, into a party environment that was, one, safe, 2, you were guaranteed to have an amazing experience. 3, the room was filled with people that you could network with, people that you could start businesses with. There were people who literally have told us they've started partnerships and businesses just by meeting people in the room. And these parties were not at some rinky-dink hall. We're talking about MetLife Stadium and the New Jersey Performing Arts Center. And so you talked about how you came from the street, and that just reminds me how so many people try to, I mean, there are a lot of people who are like you, who, come from humble beginnings, and they work their behinds off to bring that idea to fruition. But there are also another core set of people that that we still need to reach, who have those same beginnings, but they don't have, or they lack the drive, the mentality, the professionalism, the
conditioning,
mindset,
the
conditioning.
Very important.
Yes, to be able to put themselves in a even in a place where they could think about having the vision to be able to execute. And then you just operated in such a spirit of, it was like a lion. Like, you were like, listen, you didn't take no for an answer. And I've seen that side of you where you are both meek, but you're also both the lion too. And
no doubt,
it's that balance that you have, that you can go into the street and be like, yo, we need this. This is how much we need to sell. This is how much we need to make this a success. And so you would go into the salons, you would go into different businesses and sell your tickets. But you could also have a conversation with the people in the boardrooms of some of these multi-million-dollar companies, and then, oh, I'm going to tell your business, because they would still write you letters. I've seen the letters from CEOs from these companies write you, telling you, hey, I want you to come back again and again. Not because you're big, not just because you're bringing them business, but you're pulling together an entire market that they have been trying to reach for years. And so the very things that you went through shaped your entire, it shaped your life so that you could fill that niche. And so I know you give glory to God, and you I know you do
absolutely.
But it's also just so important to recognize how you could have taken the same. You had a choice to make, and you talked about this. You had a choice to make. Do I just accept my circumstances, or do I take them and do I run with them and create something that's not just great for me and my family, but you have impacted the lives of so many people.
Right. Thank you. And let me jump in and add to that, Michelle. And what a lot of people don't know, and I so appreciate your perspective and you just reflecting that, is that mission came out of me being on a mission.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't know that came from me really being at a crossroad in my life where I said, I have to create a path for me. Yeah. Period. And developing the skills, developing the tools that were necessary. And I still was probably at 60, 70%. There was still a lot of things I did not know, or habits I needed that would have probably gave me a little more edge. But where the blessing came in at, me saying yes, me committing, it was never just about the party. It was, I literally sat back and said to myself, I want to change the urban, specifically at that time, nightlife. Things started moving to, we started having events in the day, but at that time, nightlife. And I wanted to change the experience that folks had. I wanted to have this professional culture. I started it with a mission, with values. And this is why when people did go on a trip, so they went, and the trip sometimes got a little wild, we're going away to drinking and stuff. But at the end of the day, there's not one person couldn't say that they didn't feel a professional organization dealing with me specifically, or folks in my organization, and understanding that we wasn't just a party group. We wasn't just some promoters that was just trying to throw a party and make $1. Right. Don't knock no one as using events to make money, but that just wasn't my objective. And money was never the objective. It was about building something that never existed, and being proud that we was the first African American or Americans organization that was the broad programming dance programming specifically to NJ Pat. It was one of the reasons why they invited me on their board. We were the first after MetLife Stadium, as you mentioned before, to throw an event that I know of record, even Revel before it left, in terms of indoors. So we pride ourselves on innovation. We pride ourselves on taking risks. We pride ourselves on giving folks an experience. But I say all that to say this: these were just principles. These are principles that I've learned. These are principles that I study. These are principles that say success, prosperity, earning money doesn't have a color. It doesn't have a color barrier. It's not about your religion. It's about the principles that you execute, believe in, and activate. And that's all people saw from me. They saw me representing what I felt, what was inside me. And let's be very clear, couldn't do it without a strong team. Big shout out to all those that been on that journey. You
Yes.
know, Sporty D, you know, my
Yes,
right
Sporty.
hand,
Yes.
side by side, everyone that came and gone that's still there. Some that went off and they're doing their own thing in events. Some of them doing other businesses that's been inspired by the movement. So I give nothing but love and big appreciation to all those that sold tickets. You know, whether you sold one ticket
Yeah.
or you sold 100 tickets, I thank them for that. Because
Yes.
without that support and appreciation, Mission wouldn't have been here. So I definitely recognize all the contribution throughout the country, those that traveled far and wide to come to our events. But here's what got birthed out of that. Something more important, something more meaningful than that is the impact that was made on people's lives through the process. Rather you was an attendee, rather you worked with us or for us, the positive impact, the inspiration that came out of the culture of our movement. And so important, I want to drop this real quick, is when you building a brand and you building a company, one of the things that you have to establish is a culture, period. And a culture separates you. A culture gives your brand a stronger position because it says who you are and you represent that in all that you do. And that was something that we was able to execute that made a difference, that we was able to introduce a culture. Here's what we stand for, here's what we don't get me wrong, as the numbers grew and as we started scaling, there was times it was hard to manage that. It was very difficult to manage culture because you're dealing with a bunch of emotions and you're dealing with folks that have all different type of expectations, but we did our best to put that into practice. So yes, it's been amazing. I guess we'll tap into it before we get off this podcast that we are not done. We got
Oh
some
no.
magic that we got some stuff. Hey, so listen, we got some stuff, but we'll get there. I ain't gonna speed that up. I'll follow your lead on this one.
No, that is, listen, we all just got a little Brandon 101, like build a culture. And that is so key. A lot of people today, and we could even have this conversation, like a lot of people today are trying to just jump out and do things
Absolutely.
without considering that
Right.
you got to build a culture. You have to,
Absolutely.
whatever you stand for, it's going to come out some way or another. And one of the reasons why you
Absolutely.
were so successful, as I'm sure we can imagine and hear, is because you took everything that you were, you put it into the business, and you built a culture.
1000%.
And you could get with the people that you were selling tickets with. You could get with the people that, and they believed in you. And I read somewhere, heard it, that people don't buy from you because just simply because you're selling a product that they like. They buy from you because they believe in you. So, and
Absolutely.
when you sell something, you're selling you first. And
Absolutely.
so yeah,
Absolutely.
that's good. That's really, really good.
Yeah, and here's the thing, Michelle, just to add, and I know you want to jump into another question. It is imperative, and part of the reasons why we don't understand that because we don't seek the mentorship. And I had a mentor. One of my mentors, I was blessed. And right now today, Miss Karen Davis, she was like a mom to me, and she used to take me to her kitchen table, and she taught me the first rule of supply and demand.
Mm-hmm.
And this is when my first ski trip, which was in 1998. And she would go, and I'm gonna share this with her. I was like, I'm ordering 5-7 buses. I was very enthused and overconfident. And I'm like, look, I could do this. Everybody want to go away. And if I put it out there, they're going to respond. And this is the first law of marketing, understanding supply and demand, understanding your market, understanding their economics or where they stand in terms of spending power, and just really allowing you to prove your product, to prove your service. and to give them the experience of your brand and your service and let the organic demand happens. So the first law that I've learned is you don't go and get 4 or 5 buses. Go get one bus, sell that bus out, work very, very hard to give them that experience, perfect it and master it. And then humans are going to do what they do. They're going to talk. They're going to talk. And as they're taught, they're going to transfer that experience to others that actually want that experience. And when they want that experience, it gets contagious. And before you know it, organic growth start happening. You don't have to force it. You don't have to rush the big. Allow it to grow. So my first bus ride, I ordered like 7 buses, and I'll never forget I had to call the company and say, I don't need them other 6. I already got 40 people going because I didn't understand it at that time. So that was something that I took pride in taking my time. We started in a 2-bedroom apartment, which was about 12 people. And then I think we went to the Marlows, and the rest was history. And we started doing trips and everything. But I will say this real quickly, Michelle. There's so many lessons that came out of that. We're going to try our best to squeeze some of that stuff out today and give the audience some of the life lessons and the business lessons. And that came from squeezing out of failure, coming out, unmet expectations. And there's times that we scratched our head if we was even going to continue the mission brand and the movement because of the challenges. And this was early in the mid 2000s, 2010. We was hit with a lot of challenges as we grew, but wisdom came out of that. I told my wife day before yesterday, I'm like, man, I got to cash out on a lot of those lessons. Those lessons were good. Yeah. And if I stop now, I lose all that equity. There's equity in your pain. There's equity in your life lessons. You got to cash that out. How do you do that? You apply those lessons. You learn from them. You take it on the chin. You ask yourself, what did you need to know? You learn what you need to know. You do what you have to do to mitigate and put processes and procedures and whatever you got to do to make sure that that lesson doesn't come back and repeat itself. Because if it come back and repeat itself, it could be the lesson that wipe you out. So lessons are not bad. Mistakes are not always bad. There's 2 types of mistakes. You got the mistakes that teach you something, and then you have the mistake that can cost you the game. And the one that costs you the game, you need to avoid those. You need to avoid those. The ones that you learn from, embrace those. Those are the ones that are going to shape your wisdom, shape your discipline. It's going to shape your judgment. You'll be sharper, quicker, and you'll be able to make the decisive decisions that you need to progress your business, your brand, or your movement. Rather, it's nonprofit or profit. It doesn't matter. And I want to say this real quick, Michelle. Even though we talk about culture, but culture is breeded from leadership. It's breeded from leadership. So when you say, well, how do I establish a culture? Invest back into your leadership. Invest back into you. It all starts with you. True story. Every event, I will go to Barnes & Noble at the end of the event. So let's say we have an event. The next day, that Sunday, I'm at Barnes & Noble buying a book. That's what I did. I didn't go buy myself clothes. I didn't go out and spend no money because I think I just came, we did well. I went to Barnes & Noble because I knew I've learned and went through some pain or some struggle, and I wanted to fix it. And I wanted to learn what I did not know. And I did that for years. I would just go to Barnes and buy a book because I knew at the end of the day, I had to continue to be committed to ongoing education, period.
Woo-wee. That was
So,
major.
very important.
Very,
Very
very
important.
important.
Your whole brand, your whole movement and what you intend to do is contingent on your development and personal leadership. Period. You have to have private victories before you can have public victories. Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of the Highly Successful People. Very good book. It's an all-time great. It's one of the books I read 10 years ago, probably longer than that. And again, me being interested in what are the principles, what are the things I need to know, because I was serious about success. You got to get serious about it.
Say that.
You got to get you got to get serious. You got to be serious about winning. Not at all costs. You got to do it with a balance of integrity and a balance of character, but you got to get serious. You got to get serious. So therefore, I was just talking to my daughter and I said, yo, you want to change your life, change your values, you change your standards. Your life changes tomorrow. Change your values, change your standards. Your life changes tomorrow. Why? Because your behavior is governed from your values. Your decisions is governed from your beliefs. Your standards, what you accept, what you don't accept. So if you get to a place, and think about it, Michelle, when the last time, you know, we sat down or someone sat down and go, what are my values? Everybody talking about what they want out of life. Screw what you want. Get what you need. So when you get what you want, your wants sit on top of your needs, which is your foundation. What's missing from you? Addressing your issues. We all have issues. One of the things I want to talk about is clearing your trash bin, just like we do on a computer. What's inside you right now that's blocking you from being bold? What is sabotaging your action? A lot of times we're carrying bitterness. We're carrying stuff from the past. We're carrying pain, loss that we cannot get over it. These are things that we need to recognize, because if we don't recognize that we got these issues, whatever they are, all you're going to do is even move at a slow rate, or you're going to revert and set right back and not realizing what caused it, because you haven't peel the layers back to address what's going on in your brain, what's going on in your heart, what's going on in your spirit. Everything starts there. Once that is worked on and you give that attention, there's a different piece of doors that open up for you. Your sight is different. Your frequency is different. Your energy is everything is different. Clear your trash bin for 220. Got to clear it. You got to say, it's over. I'm done with that. Move on. Whatever that pain is, you have to face it, move on. Whatever failures you dealt with, whatever shortcomings, whatever expectations wasn't met, you accept it, move on. 220 is here. It's actually here. So a lot of folks is behind an 8 ball right now. It's here. And if you're not making a mental prep and making the hard decisions to improve your life, to birth your dreams, to feed the dream that you already have, to be able to take your game to the next level, to make the income that you deserve, not that you want, the income you deserve. The income you deserve from working hard and sacrificing. What changes do you need to make? Get back to leadership. Get back to self-love. Get back to self-deserving. Get back to self-respect. Get back to self-clarity. Get clear. Have courage. Get consistent. Get back. And here's the big piece, Michelle. Surrounding yourself around energy that actually authentically want to see you win. That's not always easy. It's a lonely road sometimes. It's very lonely. Very. And you could be in a marriage, you can have all the brothers and sisters in the world. That don't mean that everybody is on your frequency. That don't mean everybody see what you see. And that's okay. That's okay. It is your job to be proactive, to position yourself, to be around individuals that feed you, nurture you, support your initiatives, your growth, even your struggle. Because we all struggle from time to time with different things at different levels, at different stages. So what do? Do you just accept it or get proactive? Get proactive. So, yeah, I know I'm kind of moving.
No, you all, and I gotta say this right now. First of all, you're doing so much right now, and you're so intentional. Your language is so intentional, and it's because of the investment that you have made in yourself from years and years of reading and studying and the work, that you're just
Right.
a natural person, a naturally intentional person. And so I just got to say something real quick, because at one point I served as your administrative assistant. So I got to take administrative rights right here and let everybody know that there is a live event coming, because I know you can already tell that Mr. James has so much to share. And so y'all get ready, because we're going to have a live event, and maybe in several different cities. We got to spread this message around and around. And we're going to talk about the book that's coming out, and we're going to talk about all those things. But just pay attention. Mark my words, as they say. Pay attention, because you are going to know Shariff James. That is going to be a household name for the entire world. I do want to ask, what you say?
I appreciate that. I receive.
Of
And I
course.
echo that, and she's absolutely right. Mr. James is on a new mission. This is not even about me. It's about what needs to be done before I get my date, before the Lord calls for me. We all got a date. We all getting closer to that date.
Yes.
Sometimes we forget that.
Yeah.
We wasting time. We're wasting time. It is time to embrace, accept the challenge. It is time to say yes to what you see, what you feel, what you know. And more importantly, retrust yourself. That's huge, Michelle.
Say that
Sometimes we don't
again.
trust ourselves. We
Ooh.
lose trust. We lose trust in ourselves. We got to re-trust ourselves. And it is okay. It is okay to get back up and give it another shot. Until you stop breathing, until you don't have oxygen no more, until you can't move and do nothing, yo, game on. Clock still running.
Word.
Game on. Period. So yeah, we gonna get busy, Michelle. Right? We got some stuff that we're working on, and it'll be a new phase, a new chapter. And I'm excited, Michelle. I'm excited about everything we've been talking about behind the scenes, and we just gonna have new value, new products for those that followed us and those that believe in not just me, but just the movement and what we stood for. And we're just gonna be able to give you guys some greater value that's gonna make a difference in your life, your bottom line, and just add to your growth. That's our mission. We want to add to your growth. Period.
Yeah, so
All right.
to that point, what do you believe is your core message to the world? You know about your experience and you shared about that. So what do you believe your purpose is and your core message is for this world? And also talk about some of those life lessons that you wanted to discuss.
Right. Well, my message is is so universal because there's so many different messages. But the bottom line is, I want to be an individual that, as you come in contact with me, come in contact with any of my brand extensions, that I represent an individual despite the bottom, despite the dirt, despite being counted out, that it is still possible, that you don't have to have the traditional blueprint. And don't knock traditional education, college, and none of that. I think, each its own. I think that strategically, if you leverage a degree, just be smart about it. But despite, if you don't have that, if you're not dealing with a supportive system, that you can still have success. You still can be a person that brings value to this earth, live out your dreams, and be happy. And I'm not saying that, like, I have a perfect life. I still have my challenges. I still deal with issues just like everyone else. But at the end of the day, my message is, don't give up. Do not give up. Continue to be committed to your process. Do not allow your negative experiences to give feed doubt in your brain that compromise your action. I'm gonna say it again. Do not allow doubt in your brain to compromise your action. You will always have doubt at times. You will always feel fear. You will always have moments where you question yourself. You will have those moments. You will. Get the data, get on your knees, you get back up, you get to work, and you go for it. Now, I'm a guy, I'm an analytical guy. I'm about numbers. So I always try to pay attention to what the numbers say. What is the numbers? Me and my wife go battle this all the time. She's more leaning 80% faith. I like to be 50 faith and 50 numbers. And that's me. I'm like, look, what the numbers say, this ain't a go.
Yeah, one
But
influences the other, and one gives you insight into the other.
absolutely. So I say that because a lot of times, um, I think we move and we take risk and we jump out there without evaluating the cost, the real cost that's associated with the risk. Not understand what are the real sacrifices that's necessary on your part individually to position yourself to fully maximize a particular opportunity. It's very important. And you come up short. If you miscalculate, you just come up short. So you getting the numbers, really getting drilling down and finding a way to find actual numbers too. your business to a plan, a project, just your life, your household, and just really looking at where the numbers are and asking yourself, where do you need to be and what are the ideas to compensate for these numbers that's missing if they're missing. But filling the numbers, and numbers are very, very, very important. They tell a story. They tell a story. But yeah, Michelle, just to be able to be a person that's saying, hey, despite the challenges and despite the hardship, and I will be honest, I choose in the book, and at another time, I would get a little more in depth of the challenges I've been through as a young man and some of the things I face. And so it will resonate with some people that might can relate and hopefully give them the encouragement to move forward and to keep going and fight for their vision, fight for their dream, fight for their family, fight for themselves, fight for their communities, to continue to fight. That's the message. Continue to fight. Continue to fight.
I love that. I love that. So, oh my God, there's so much more I want to talk about, but and there's so many different questions that I want to ask. Um, and I do want to mention this real quick. I so agree with what you said about looking at not just the idea, but what are the numbers and how is it going to make sense for you? I remember calling you not too long ago, actually more about 2 years ago, and I had this multi-level marketing opportunity, and I called you so excited about it. I'm like, "Yep, I'm gonna sell this, and then after I add this person on, it's gonna get me this much money, and yada yada yada." And so you were like, okay." You first you started off strong, like, "Okay, that's exciting. I'm happy for you.
Right.
You got an idea, but
Right.
what are the numbers like, and
Exactly.
how are you going to market yourself, and how are you going to build a team, and how are you going to do this and that, all these things that I didn't even think about,
Right.
but I was just so excited and I just wanted to go for it. And you bring up a great point. A lot of times we have great ideas, but we need that mentor to help us be able to see past the things that we may not be thinking about.
Right. And,
So
and just to add to that, the clarity of process. What's the actual process that you need to develop on an individual level? What's the process? Are you replicating a business that's proven itself already? And if this proven itself, what is the clear cut blueprint that you can follow? I'm not always a fan of that because I think everyone's situation is different.
yeah,
So you can never just follow a blueprint without doing assessment on you. Even when I coach individuals or clients, when I have clients, I understand that the proposal that I sent one client, I can't cookie cutter it to but so much until I understand this person's situation. You got to understand the situation. You need to know where you stand mentally, where you stand physically. You need to know where you stand financially, and more importantly, in your household. Where's the support level? And if all those check boxes come back negative, that doesn't mean it's a no go. That means that the strategy is different. I'm gonna say it again. If you check, I ain't got no money. Ain't nobody in my household trying to hear what I'm talking about.
right.
I don't got no contacts. I don't know where to start. That don't mean it's not a go. That means that the action is different to get where you need to go. We got YouTube and Google University now.
Right.
There's no excuses.
Right.
Everything is in a search bar away now.
Yeah.
There's no excuses at all. With technology and that phone and access to billions of people on the phone, I tell people right now, Michelle, you don't have a money issue. You have a value creation issue. You have a consistency issue. You have a self doubt issue. There's $1 trillion going through the system every day. It's just not hitting your bank account. The money ain't the problem. The money flowing every single day. But until you create value, until you create consistency, until you create a level of integrity, until you proven yourself. I was dealing with this concept. You gotta not only be battle tested, we want to know, could you be broken? Because if you could be broken, you can't break barriers. So you got to be proven in order for the market to continue to feed you. They spending the money already, Michelle.
Yeah.
The market opened up at 9. People spending money right now. The question is, what are you doing to create more value? What investment are you making to position yourself to make a unique value proposition, an offer that people say, not only that I like what you're doing, I like your story, I love that you're consistent, I'm on board, let me get that. How much?
Right.
That works for me. You solve my problem. What problems are you solving? Are you solving people problems or are you becoming a problem? So I only speak to that because at the end of the day, we all can use a few more dollars. We all try on a road to riches. We all on a road are trying to, those that's on this podcast obviously are individuals that's looking to do better, want more, want the information, want to be connected to positive energy, want their frequency to go up. They want doors to open. So they're open for the information. But information is not always the issue. It's the execution and the application of the information. Information is there. Every time, how many times people look at YouTube and they still in the same situation? So this is about 220. And again, I'm gonna say it again, clean the trash bin. Do a dump, get that stuff out of you. Do what you have to do, make that investment, evaluate your idea, get to the numbers, evaluate the numbers, make sure they work. And the best thing you can do, Michelle, is find an individual that's been there before that will be willing to share with you data so you can cut that curve down. Just like if you was building a house and somebody gave you the blueprints, you still don't know the cost of material. You still don't know what the cost of the labor is. Somebody need to share that with you because if you don't know, that learning curve is going to take you out. It's going to take you out. Same thing in business. Got to know your numbers. Okay, let's keep going.
So, how do you, Mr. James, measure success?
I measure success by your ongoing value and the impact you make on people, period. Your consistency and value. You're the creating the longest impact over time. That's how you man. And success is a byproduct of creating value, ongoing value. It's a byproduct. It's not even what you shouldn't even want to aim to be successful. You want to aim to be a person of value and worth, a person that is needed, and then that breeds success, if that makes sense.
If you are listening right now, just raise your hand if this is the first time in your life that you have ever heard that measuring success by creating value over time. Like I've been living 33 years. I never heard it put like that. So
Right.
many times, so many times we think about success as how much money you have, or the
No,
type of family structure
no,
that you're putting together, or I mean, and there can be variations of that, right? Your health and this
sure.
and that, but that creating value over time piece.
Over time, absolutely. Because you got to be battle tested. You have to be tested
Yeah.
to know that you deserve the consistency of wealth, the flow of wealth. Like you can't be a person that just got your hand out, me, I. The world is too big. You too small. Your brain is too small. You just thinking about yourself. Doesn't work that way. The universe don't respond to that. So you got your bank account is always going to reflect that to a degree because it's only you. And not for nothing, Michelle, we kind of been conditioned to live in this I world, iPhones, I this, I that, individualism. So the fact that we operate from that space, we don't always work in a collective effort to take on opportunities or projects that yield a great return that really impact generations. Watch this. Let me give you an analogy. The lion. I'm talking about the third lion, the lioness or the lion. Sees an elephant. He's by himself and he hungry. I'm talking about he ain't ate in 4 days. And it's time for me and the cubs is hungry. He understands that he cannot attack that elephant by himself because he needs the sub lions to get in to take it down. I say that to say this. There's big opportunities out there like the elephant. And if you the lion, you gotta learn to work with other lions to take down opportunities that feed your families. and feed your soul, feed your creativity gene that you have. And it's a lot of times we just want to be creative. And the elephant's so big, they don't fight.
Right.
It's when they go after that little prey and they kill each other over because it's too small of an opportunity. We have to start thinking bigger, Michelle. We have to. It's not. It's all right to think big. It's all right to have big visions. However, you still got to start small. And I share this when I do my coaching. What is your McDonald's fries? What does that mean?
Yes, tell
McDonald's
us.
is one of the, huh?
I say yes, tell us.
Okay, absolutely. So you can go anywhere on the planet and the McDonald's fries is the same. You can look anywhere, you can go across this country, and when you see that sign, if you eat McDonald's, you got the taste start coming in your mouth when you see the M. Is that correct?
Yes, that golden arch.
That's a brand. So the question is, in what you do regarding business, what is the fry? What is the McDonald's taste in your business? What is that very one thing that people can count on, no matter what? Even you change a few things up, there's something that has to be consistent with you. What is your brand promise? What is it that you promise? No matter what, where you are, any time of the day, it's the same. That's what separates you. That's what makes a difference. That's what breeds success.
Wow. So, what are you intentional about in this season? Because I know we wanted to talk about, some new things, or even just some, like, where are you at in this season of your life, in terms of making certain decisions now that you have seen success and now you're trying
Right.
to build your brand, in a different direction? What are you being intentional about now?
Um, Selecting, and we talked about this a lot, Michelle. Even I think when we went out of the country. What was we? We went
We
away
were
in that trip.
in Mexico.
It was in Mexico. We went out in the group. We had a great time,
Oh,
and we had I think like a VIP leadership, like by the fire kind of
yes.
conversation. It's a
Yes.
very powerful conversation. I remember that clear
Yes.
as day.
Mm-hmm.
To answer your question, I think what's big for me now, Michelle, is never losing sight of my my vision, despite the hits of life. And what I mean by that is sometimes we can get hit with discouragement
Mm-hmm.
because things are not working out the way you expected them to,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not happening in your timeline. And we all know God's timeline is different than our timeline. That's why you got to get on His timeline and try to ask for that divine wisdom so things can make sense as they unfold. But for me, is being able to hold fast to my vision, and more importantly, select the right people on the journey. And I believe 70, 80% of your success is being able to work with and commit to the right people. There's a book called Good to Great, and there was an example in there. I think I live with it today. At least I try to practice it. And it said it's better if you was on a bus and you had an unlimited budget, Michelle, and you had the best laid plans, and plans were like 50 pages long, 100 pages. It's better to have half a plan and $0, very little budget, and have the right people on the bus because the right people is going to figure it out versus having the wrong people with you on your journey and you got all the money in the world. You got the best plans, all the resources, but the wrong people going to derail you.
Yeah.
The wrong people going to sabotage you. The wrong people going to steal from you. The wrong people going to compromise your brand because they the wrong people. So you have to have and pray for discernment and clearly size people up, test them very fast, test them. You got to test their character. You got to make sure they're authentic. And it don't mean that you don't work with them. It means that you position them right.
Yeah.
Everybody don't deserve to be close to you. Everybody don't deserve to have access to you. Everybody don't deserve your ideas. Everybody don't deserve or not worthy to be able to leverage your resources because their intentions are not right, their spirit's not right. So for me is being a person that love to help, love to share, I still got to be careful and gatekeep myself. Got to gatekeep myself because as you move, you're attractive out here.
Yep.
As you grow and you do things, you're making things happen. People want to work with you. People want to do business with you. People want to collaborate. You still got to be able to sift through that and just make sure that it aligns right and that their values align with your values. Period. That's foundation.
Yes.
Everything else works out from there.
Yes, yes, yes. So I know that we're coming towards the end of our show, and it sounds like we need to do a part two because I know you have so much more in you.
Yeah.
Oh man, please, please, please. There is a pop quiz which I'm going to ask first, and then just be prepared to tell people where to find you. How can we connect with you, either on social media or even for coaching purposes? And how can we find out more about the different products that you have, the book, how to book you for different engagements, all that stuff.
Sure. Sure.
But first, the pop quiz. Okay,
Okay.
so and you, the way this works is you just say what comes to mind. So in 3 words or less, describe growth.
Commitment. Commitment. You committed to the right thing. You grow.
Love that.
Commitment.
Love that. What does progress look like for you?
Um, Being able to measure the milestones and hit those targets, despite the turbulence that's in the air.
Hmm.
Still land that plane.
Love that. And what is one thing people can do to live an intentional, purposeful life starting today?
Make the decision to decide. And not only decide, Michelle, but be committed to that decision. Let that be a value. Let it be a part of your conversation every day, and just making sure that you also in a circle of individuals that have the same conversation. But more importantly, they walk in the walk. They put in the work in. They become inspirational. Iron sharpen iron. Part of success is environment. Putting yourself in an environment that supports your initiatives and your intention. Period.
Well, one thing I know is that this episode right here is like one of those episodes that I'm going to run again and again and again and again because so many people need to hear the nuggets of wisdom that you dropped. The entire time this is the most quiet I've ever been on an episode because I'm sitting here as a student. I'm learning. I'm taking notes. I'm getting it down. I'm even writing down names of people who I'm going to tag in this episode
Right.
because
I
it's
appreciate that.
listen. And when you love somebody, when you have people in your life that you just want so badly to grow and not just like, I don't mean that. I mean you want them to get this too. And
Right.
that was one of the reasons why I started this podcast because I started doing some self-development and reading books. And really, now that I think about it, it was in the example of you. You showed me all of those things. And so I started, just listening to Lisa Nichols and reading her book.
Right.
Just doing a lot of self-development. And I said to myself, wait a minute. This kind of stuff needs to be more promoted. It's for the masses.
Right.
And so
Absolutely.
I said, and it just dropped in my spirit like, podcast. I was listening to podcasts just every day driving to work, getting all good information. And I'm like, but then I started getting deposits and daily things jumping inside of me. And I would post them on Facebook. And I'm like, yo, whatever. But then there was just like a rush. And I know people were like, Michelle came out with a podcast. Listen, and you said this. Sometimes you just gotta, when you get something and you know what you want to do, you just gotta go for it and start.
Absolutely.
And you learn along the way. You get bumps and bruises, and you, like even today getting on this call, we had some challenges for whatever reason, but that didn't stop us. And that's the thing. Like we are those type of people, and I'm sure there's so many more listening who are not gonna allow the I don't knows and the doubts and different things like that to stop us because it's Absolutely. So much bigger and so much greater than our current situation. We want to be able to connect with people who are in the same frequency as us. We want to be able to grow. We want to be able to move in the ideas that are daily deposits for us. Like I know I'm not the only person who gets daily deposits.
Right.
Right. And
right.
Or just like you have a dream and a vision that you really want to bring to pass, but you got obstacle after obstacle. You right. got hurdle after hurdle. But your message, if nobody hears anything else today, your core message is do not stop. Despite the hurdles, despite the obstacles. Right. Yo, you are here living, breathing, not just right. to exist,
right.
but to live.
Absolutely, absolutely. And allowing your life to live to its fullest potential, and knowing that like you got to do the research and understand that when you end up in your mother's stomach, there actually is a purpose on your life. And let me just say this real quick, and this is going to be another conversation. I'm going to be excited about talking about it. I'm not the guy, Michelle. A lot of people is like, I think it's the wrong question when they're like, well, what's my purpose? I think that's the wrong question.
Yeah.
I think the right question is, what's my assignment on earth? And the reason why I say that, because when God created us, we are co-creators of the master creator. So you are here to create. The real question is, what are you creating? You are here to produce. What are you producing? It's like a cop or fireman. He knows he's there to put out a fire. He's looking for the call and the address. That's it. He knows he's here to put out. He's looking for the address. So what is it? The thing that's in you, where do you point it is the question. That gift, that thing you do well, that Dennis Kimbrough said something a long time ago. What is it that you do well that come hard to others? That's the starting point question. What is it that you do really, really, really well that come hard to others? That's that thing that's special. Got to cultivate it, put some economics around it, put some traction around it. People pay for energy, value, and consistency. And if it solves their problem, money unlocks. Simple. It's not that hard. It's hard, but it ain't that hard when you understand the principles and you apply them. So yes, Michelle, absolutely, love. I'm glad that you allow the idea to not just sit in you and uh, just be on a sideline. You execute it. You are allowing yourself to be a vessel and a bridge to pump encouragement, insight, information into those that need it and those that want it. You are creating value now. That's what you're doing. And that breeds prosperity, success, as well as opportunity. And not only that, you're living in alignment with why you're here. You're creating. That's what you're doing now. You creating that platform that allows others to be able to say, you know what, Michelle, thank you. That podcast, that interviewer, or your message particular has actually pivot my life. Like I'm making a left turn. I was on a wrong road. You know what I'm saying? I gotta pivot. Like I gotta make a hard left. Sometimes you have to do that because you're just on a wrong road. And platforms like this is so needed, so valuable. And thank you for doing it from an authentic place, in a place that you really want to see people do better. And it's just awesome. So yes, I encourage it. Everyone share it. I'm gonna share it. Let's promote it and let's keep this thing going.
Yes, yes. So listen, where first of all, no, I can't even just slide into that. Thank you.
Okay.
I gotta say thank you first
Now,
because
no
I
doubt, no
appreciate.
doubt.
I really do. I appreciate that, and it is from an authentic place. Like I'm not trying to be no nothing. Listen, if I wanted to be something, I could be something with my degrees. This is something that is. I don't have no degree in this.
Yeah, right, right,
I can't
right.
learn this.
But
This
that's the thing. You don't need a degree
no,
being you.
no.
The world embraces the you. If you put you out there in what you do. It's 7 billion people on the earth. There's a piece of people that love you, that would appreciate you, and even willing to support you monetary to so you can stay doing it. They would love to give you the money just so you can stay alive because you make a difference. You're special to them. You want to become special. You are special. Let's go. So go ahead. What's that question,
No,
love?
my
I'm
it's
sorry.
not even yeah.
I get
The
excited.
question is because everybody want to know right now.
Okay, go ahead. Go. Let's
How
go.
can they get in touch with you? How can we
Right.
find you? How can we connect with you? How can you become our coach? Like what?
Sure.
How can we find you? And then the other thing is, please, please, please list any products, platforms, anything that we can take advantage of, if not right now, in the near future, so that we can stay connected to you.
I appreciate that. Appreciate you even opening the door for that conversation and dialogue to happen. So real quickly, Michelle, you don't even know this. You might. 211 Warren Street has went to a complete renovation on the first level. That's our original office. We still have the office, 211 Warren Street. A lot of you guys have been there,
In
maybe
Newark.
heard of it, but that's in Newark. That's our headquarters downtown, NJIT area, the University District, University Heights District. I say that to say this. I will be holding classes there, master classes, coaching classes, and group sessions. Starting in 2020, there would be specific subjects dealing with primary business, business and life. I think business and life go together. Like you said, review your life coach, business coach. No, life and business go together. I'm both. You're not going to get business from me and not get life, and you're not going to get life with me without business. I don't believe they should be separated. I believe they go together. So that's what I'm going to give you. Therefore, I would be doing maybe probably 2 a quarter. I would be having information, a link where folks can sign up, click into the subjects of their interests, and they can participate in a very narrow, I would say, intimate setting that deals with straight laser focus on some hardcore teachings relative to their path. So before you even sign up for the coaching, Michelle, there would be an assessment to make sure that it's valuable and it's what you need, not what you just want. That's number one. As far as speaking is concerned, we'll be rolling out my specific subjects. I would be doing probably maybe 4 to 6 keynotes out of the calendar year due to my schedule, maybe once a quarter. And we're going to talk about that too, exactly what the structure is of the speaking and what type of speaking, what the subjects of that I'll be focused on, and what type of events that would suit my path and direction. Every event, and I'm going to be teaching this, every event doesn't align with you. Every opportunity doesn't align with you. And I'll probably, be very selective in terms of where and how, and that'd be strategic because I want my message to be completely centered to the right audience. And that's going to be very important. Every check is not always good to just take a check just to talk, if that makes sense. Right. So far as getting in contact with me, my name, Shariff James, at Shariff James, SHARIFF James at Instagram, and the same thing on Facebook. And you can reach out, hit me in a DM, hit me on Facebook and inbox, and we can communicate and we can talk about one-on-one. I will be doing one-on-ones, but I'm only taking on one client per quarter due to my schedule and a lot of things I got going on. And I want to be able to give that client top-notch service and dedication. And we'll do what we call the flush out to really kind of narrow down, drill down into what your core needs are, what your pain points are. What are you trying to do? What's the gap? What's the gap between where you are and where you're trying to go? And do an assessment and develop a strategy that's realistic for you in your situation so you can hit those goals, hit those targets, hit those milestones. And more important, live a richer life, a much fulfilling life, and live on purpose. And that's what I'm committed to do. But I'm doing that one client per quarter is right now is at least my model, unless that changes because of demand or something. I don't know. But yeah, that's it. Shariff James, at Shariff James, holla, hit me up. It's been a pleasure. It's been an honor. Again, Michelle, I so encourage you to keep going. I've been in this place for a minute in terms of wanting to see you win, see you grow. And yes, God is using you and you allowing it. And as you can see, when you allow it, the courage, the ideas come and a new path opens up. It's like a new windpipe. You know what I'm saying? You just could it's just a beautiful thing. So yeah, absolutely.
So guys, listen up. We are wrapping up this episode, but please, 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 right now, do it right now. Go into your Instagram, go onto your Facebook, and type in at Shariff James. That's SHARIFF Shariff James. Please just send him a message. If you're listening to this right now, just send him a DM, letting him know your review of this show. Go on to our platform, Progress on Purpose Podcast. That's all one word. And let us know. Give us a review of this show. Also on your listening platform, whether you are on iHeartRadio, or whether you are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Google Play. Please, please, please give us a review. This is an episode that cannot stay to ourselves, but it must be shared. So hit that share button and continue to connect with us. As I've already said, We are wrapping up this episode, but please, 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 please come back again. Stay connected, subscribe, all that. I'm rambling because this episode just got me all over the place. It was all that. But until next time, please continue to live on purpose. Love you and take care.